Hi, I'm Stuart Markus. On Long Island, where I live, I'm known for singing sea shanties and other sailor songs. But given what's been going on, I thought I might do something different. Drinking songs. Humans discovered the joys of wine and beer thousands of years ago. Ben Franklin famously said, "Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy." And probably nearly as long, people have found that drinking is conducive to singing. Music and drink just naturally seem to go together. But before the days of bar bands and acoustic guitarists in pubs, if people wanted music to go with their ale, wine, or spirits, well, they mostly had to make it themselves. But the more they drank, the easier it was to sing along. So if you're coping with the quarantine with a bit of liquid courage, perhaps with a mate or other adult family members, join me in singing these historic songs. Not only will you have fun, you'll be helping to continue a great cultural tradition. So we're going to start with one from 1818 is the first time it was recorded, that is, written down. And it originates in England, which is a little bit ironic because the chorus is in French. Vive L'Amour, Vive la compagnie, which means life to love or long live our companions. Now, there is an all-French version of it found in French-speaking Canada, and they claim it originated with the Isle of Jersey off the northern coast of France. But there's no documentation for us. I bet you'll recognize this one, so sing along with me. Let every good fellow now join the song. Vive la compagnie. Success to each fellow and pass it along. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Come all you good fellows and join with me. Vive la compagnie. And raise up your voices in close harmony. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. A friend on your left and a friend on your right. Vive la compagnie. Enjoying good fellowship, let us unite. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Should time or occasion compel us to part, vive la compagnie. These days shall forever enlighten the heart. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Let every old bachelor raise up his glass. Vive la compagnie. And drink to the health of his favorite lass. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Let every old married man drink to his wife. Vive la compagnie. The joy of his bosom and comfort of life. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive la, vive la, vive l'amour. Vive l'amour, vive l'amour. Vive la compagnie. Alright, well, if we're in England, let's head west a little bit across the Irish Sea to Ireland, which is known for folk music, for poetry, and of course, part of that folk music is drinking songs. So here's a song that was dated by the folk music historian Alan Lomax to the mid-17th century, so we're talking the 1600s here. It contains some famously great nonsense lyrics. A lot of great Irish folk songs have just some fun, nonsensical lyrics like whack fall the diddle and that sort of thing. This one goes whack fall me daddy-o, and it's been theorized that maybe that refers to, maybe a whack means taking a shot, perhaps in honor of one's daddy. We don't know. It might just be a whole lot of fun, but this is a tale of misadventure called Whiskey in the Jar. As I was going over the Cork and Kenny mountains, I came on Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced me pistol and then produced me rapier, saying stand and deliver, for I am the bold shaver. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. He counted out his money and it made a pretty penny. I put it in my pocket and I brought it home to Jenny. She cried and she swore that she never would deceive me, but the devil take the women, for they never can be easy. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. I went into my chamber all for to have a slumber. I dreamed of gold and jewelry, and sure it was no wonder. But Jenny drew me charges and she filled them up with water, and ran to Captain Farrell to await there for the slaughter. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. 'Twas early in the morning, just before I rose to travel. On the road a band of horsemen, and with them Captain Farrell. I first produced me pistol, for she'd stole away me rapier, but I couldn't shoot the water, so a prisoner I was taken. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Now if anyone can help me, it's my brother in the army. I know not now if he is based in Cork or in Killarney. I know if I could find him, we'd be roaming in Kilkenny. I know he'd treat me better than the darling sport and Jenny. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. There's some take delight in the carriages a-rolling, and others take delight in the hurling and the bowling. But I take delight in the juice of the barley, and courting pretty fair maids in the morning, bright and early. Shush-a-dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. One more. Back for me daddy-o, back for me daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Well, let's stay in Ireland for one more song here, shall we? And this one goes back even further. Late 16th century it's been traced back to. And ironically, it was written as a pro-temperance song originally. In fact, we'll come to a number of songs, including the next couple, that were written about the pitfalls and perils of alcohol abuse, too much drinking, but ironically became drinking songs. I guess the best intentions, right? So this is one called The Wild Rover, and if you're a fan of Irish music, you probably know that on this one, when we get to the chorus, which goes, no, nay, never, one then claps 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you can't sing along, at least clap right there. But I bet you'll pick it up. I played the Wild Rover for many years, and I spent all me money on whiskey and beer. Now I'm returning with gold in great store, and I never will play the Wild Rover no more. And it's no, nay, never, no, nay, never, no more will I play the Wild Rover. No, never, no more. I went to a tavern I used to frequent, and I told the landlady me money was spent. I asked her for credit, she said to me nay. Such a custom as yours I could have any day. And it's no, nay, never, no, nay, never, no more will I play the Wild Rover. No, never, no me pocket 10 sovereigns bright, and the landlady's eyes open wide with delight. Said she, I have whiskey and wines of the best, and the words that I said sure were only in jest, and it's no, they never, no, they never, no more will I play the Wild Rover, no, never, no more. I'll go to my parents, confess what I've done, and pray that they'll take back the prodigal son. And if they caress me as oft times before, then I never will play the Wild Rover no more. And it's no, they never, no, they never, no more will I play the Wild Rover, no, never, no more. And it's no, they never, no, they never, no more will I play the Wild Rover, no, never, no more. Let's stay in the British Isles for one more song. This is another one that really has a lyric about the pitfalls of drinking too much, but it became a drinking song also. Now this one has a little bit of interesting word etymology about it. Back in the days of the Royal Navy, back in the heyday from the 1700s to actually all the way up till about 1970, British sailors were given a daily ration of rum. And their daily ration was 8 ounces, 1 cup or a half pint. That's the amount you'd get in one of those little milk cartons of milk when you were a kid in elementary school. And that's a pretty healthy amount of rum. And the problem they would have is that some sailors would save it up and get really drunk at some inopportune moment. They had another problem in the Navy, and that was that water would go bad if it was stored for too long. So a British admiral named C. Edward Vernon kind of solved 2 problems at the same time by combining them, by watering down the daily rum ration. Still got the same amount of rum, but it was diluted 1 part of rum to 3 parts of water, perhaps a little bit of spices added, and perhaps some lime juice or lemon juice. They discovered in the 1700s that citrus fruit and juice would ward off scurvy, which is a disease where the gums start to rot. They didn't know about vitamin C, which is what actually did it, but they knew that citrus would ward off the disease. Now, Admiral Vernon liked to wear coats and jackets made out of a sort of a ribbed material called grogry, and it was mispronounced by the sailors grogram, and he had long been given the nickname Old Grog. Well, they named this drink after him, grog, and to this day, if someone's a little bit in a fog, slightly off kilter, a little bit off balance, you might say that he's groggy. And it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, gone for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander. And that's the chorus. Where are me boots, me noggin, noggin boots? Oh, gone for beer and tobacco. Well, the heels are all worn out and the leather's knocked about, and me toes are looking out for better weather. And it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, gone for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander. Where is me shirt, me noggin, noggin shirt? Oh, gone for beer and tobacco. Well, the collar's all worn out and the front is knocked about, and the tails are looking out for better weather. And it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, gone for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander. The springs are looking out for better weather, and it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, done for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander. I'm sick in me head, and I ain't been to bed since I first came ashore with me plunder. I see centipedes and snakes, and I'm full of pains and aches. I think I'll take another trip out yonder, and it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, done for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander, and it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. Oh, done for beer and tobacco, for I spent all me tin with the lasses drinking gin, and across the western ocean I must wander. So I'm not sure if I made it clear before, but by diluting the rum into the water, the sailors were forced to drink the rum on a daily basis because it would go bad if they tried to save it up for too much longer. Alright, we're going to do one that talks about the pitfalls of drinking yet again. Now this one was actually a sea shanty, a working song. It was used in raising the sails, so it's called a halyard shanty, a halyard being the line that hoisted the sails up, hauled the yard being the horizontal spar that the sail was hung from. Well, this one is a type of halyard shanty called a walk-away or a stamp-and-go shanty. Basically it was for the smaller yards that didn't require a really concerted effort. Basically the sailors could kind of pick up the line and march down the length of the ship with it, and when they got to as far astern as they could go, they would just in turn drop the line and walk back to the front of the line and then do it all over again till the sail was up. That's why the refrain goes, way, hey, and up she rises, and that's the part you can sing along, although you can repeat the opening line of each verse twice along with me, because that's all there is to it. But one thing you'll notice is that the punishments and treatments of this drunken sailor get crueler and crueler as the song goes on, as of course the sailors get more and more resentful of having to do the increased work because of the guy that's still sleeping it off. What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Throw him in the longboat till he's sober, throw him in the longboat till he's sober, throw him in the longboat till he's sober, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Alright, not too bad that one, but they get worse. Throw him in the scuppers with a stovepipe on him, throw him in the scuppers with a stovepipe on him, throw him in the scuppers with a stovepipe on him, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Getting worse. Even by the legs and a running, bowling, even by the legs and a running, bowling, even by the legs and a running, bowling, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Shave him in the belly with a rusty razor, shave him in the belly with a rusty razor, shave him in the belly with a rusty razor, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. And now the cruelest thing of all to do with a drunken sailor. Throw him in bed with the captain's daughter, throw him in bed with the captain's daughter, throw him in bed with the captain's daughter, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey Another Halyard shanty also makes a really good drinking song because it's all about whiskey. This one's called Whiskey Johnny. Now, the term whiskey has an interesting bit of history. It was back in the Middle Ages when people in Europe figured out how to distill, fermented mash, which made ale, into something a good bit stronger. And they didn't quite know, they certainly didn't know the chemistry behind ethyl alcohol, but they did know its effect. And they dubbed it in Latin aqua vitae, or aqua vitia, the water of life. Well, as the technology for doing this progressed into the Celtic realms, Ireland and Scotland, they used the same terminology, and the Gaelic word for water of life, and you'll forgive me if you're a native speaker because I'm not, is Whisky Betha, which became shortened to Whiskey Bay, which eventually became whiskey. And that's what this song is about. Oh, whiskey is the life of man. It always was since time began. Ready to haul. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Oh, whiskey made me mother cry. Of whiskey she was always shy. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Oh, whiskey made me wear old clothes. Oh, whiskey gave me a broken nose. Oh, whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Oh, whiskey drove me mother mad. Oh, whiskey killed me dear old dad. Everybody. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Oh, whiskey up and whiskey down. I'll drink whiskey all around the town. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Oh, whiskey straight and whiskey strong, I'll drink whiskey all day long. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey here and whiskey there, I'll drink whiskey everywhere. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. One more. Whiskey mixed and whiskey neat, drinking whiskey can't be beat. Whiskey, oh John, rise her up from down below. Whiskey, 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 oh, up aloft this yard must go. John, rise her up from down below. And that's swell, which is what they said whenever you were done heaving or hauling. Let's go ashore for a song with another interesting bit of etymology before it. This song is called Bully in the Alley. Now, bully is a word whose meaning has really changed and evolved over the centuries. Back in the 19th century, bully meant strong, or first-rate, or splendid. Eventually, it became to mean, or be used by somebody who'd been drinking to say, he feels first-rate or feels no pain. I'm feeling bully. Now, eventually, the meaning of being particularly strong or tough kind of took over, and it acquired its current meaning. But, well, Theodore Roosevelt described the presidency as a bully pulpit. That meant a splendid, first-rate, wonderful place to shout things from. So the idea behind this song is a group of sailors might have gone out drinking, and one of them reached his limit and surpassed it rather before his mates. And because he was being loud and obnoxious, they took him out behind the bar and left him in the alley. Shinbone Alley was a common name. I don't quite know where it comes from. Perhaps it refers to the butcher's trade, or perhaps it was just a place where one was likely to trip and bang his legs up. But this is called Bully in the Alley. And, well, you'll pick it up to sing along. Way, hey, bully in the alley, and bully down in Shinbone Alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, hey, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. Sally's a girl that I love dearly. Way, hey, bully in the alley. Sally's a girl that I spliced nearly. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. And it's help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. For 7 long years I courted Sally. Way, bully in the alley. All she did was dilly-dally. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. And it's help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. I left sailing, I went to sailing. Way, bully in the alley. Signed on a big ship, I went to whaling. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. And it's help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. Well, I'll come back and I'll marry Sally. Way, bully in the alley. We'll have kids and count them by the tally. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. And it's help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. And it's help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Way, bully in the alley. Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley. Bully down in Shinbone Alley. So you might be wondering, should I sing along just on the choruses, or just on those 2 refrain lines, or wherever I can sing along? And the answer to all 3 is yes. There's no hard, fast, set rules on these songs. They're meant to have fun too. Well, something you might find is you might hear other versions of these songs, and that's because they often weren't written down for a very long time. They were taught by some sailors or some folk singers to other sailors or other folk singers. Some guy might sing it and forget something and improvise something really fast. Some might have rewritten them to suit particular circumstances. It's what we call the folk process. It's all good, it's all right. They're all meant to have fun with. Now, I've been playing guitar on most of these because guitar is my favorite instrument. But a guitar would not usually have been found on a sailing ship or even in a pub a couple of centuries ago. More likely you might find a fiddle player or a concertina player, that's that little octagonal shaped accordion sort of thing. Perhaps a mandolin. But you didn't need an instrument at all. If you had enough voices to sing along to form a chorus, you could just sing a cappella, and that's the way I'm going to do this one. This one is called Fathom the Bowl. A fathom is a unit of depth, of course. It's the equal of 6 feet, and you can kind of see why. If you dropped a lead over the side attached to a string and let it go till you felt it hit the bottom, and then you pulled it out and measured the depth. So 1 fathom, 2 fathoms essentially. Now on the Mississippi River boats, they varied that a little bit. It was the custom to call out, "By the mark 1, by the mark twain." And that's where the author Samuel Clemens got his nom de plume. So this one's called Fathom the Bowl, meaning dip deeply into the punch bowl to help drown one's sorrows. Come, all you bold fellows to this place have come, and we'll sing in the praise of good brandy and rum. Let's lift up our glasses, good cheer is our goal. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. From France we do get brandy, from Jamaica comes rum. Sweet oranges and lemons from Portugal come. But stout ale and cider are in England's control. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. My father, he do lie in the depths of the sea. No stone for his head, but no matter to he. There's a cool crystal fountain by England do roll. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. My wife, she do disturb me as I lie at my ease. She'll say what she will and she'll do what she please. My wife, she's the devil, she's black as the coal. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. I'll fathom the bowl. Bring me the punch ladle, I'll fathom the bowl. All right. Well, let's stay in that tavern where they might be serving punch or might be serving a whole bunch of other things, and sing a song that also has its antecedents back in the 1600s. This is called Three Jolly Coachmen. Now, here's a little something. If you celebrate the Jewish holiday of Purim, and you sing a song that goes, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, oh, this is the song that the melody comes from. Three jolly coachmen sat in an English tavern. Three jolly coachmen sat in an English tavern, and they decided, and they decided, and they decided to have another flagon. Ho, 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 ha, ha, ha. So you can just sing along when I repeat each line. Landlord, fill the flowing bowl until it doth flow over. Landlord, fill the flowing bowl until it doth flow over. Tonight we'll be merry, tonight we'll be merry, tonight we'll be merry. Tomorrow we'll be sober. Ho, 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 ha, ha, ha. Here's to the man who drinks strong ale and goes to bed quite mellow. Here's to the man who drinks strong ale and goes to bed quite mellow. He lives as he ought to live, lives as he ought to live, lives as he ought to live, for he's a right good fellow. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. But here's to the man who drinks small beer and goes to bed quite sober. Here's to the man who drinks small beer and goes to bed quite sober. He falls as the leaves do fall, falls as the leaves do fall, falls as the leaves do fall. He'll die before October. Here's to the maid who steals a kiss then runs to tell her mother. Here's to the maid who steals a kiss then runs to tell her mother. She's a foolish, foolish thing. She's a foolish, foolish thing. She's a foolish, foolish thing, for she'll not get another. Ho, 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 ha, ha, ha. Now here's to the maid who steals a kiss, then stays to steal another. Here's to the maid who steals a kiss, then stays to steal another. She's a boon to all mankind. She's a boon to all mankind. She's a boon to all mankind, for soon she'll be a mother. Ho, 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 ha, ha, ha. Landlord, fill the flowing bowl and until it doth flow over. Landward fill the flowing bowl until it doth flow over. Tonight we'll be merry, tonight we'll be merry, tonight we'll be merry. Tomorrow just hung over. Let's see, let's come back to America and do a song that was a big hit from 1869. It was written in Philadelphia by a man named Joseph Eastburn Winner. And then this song, for whatever reason, experienced a resurgence of popularity during the Prohibition era, the 1930s. And famously, Glenn Miller and his orchestra had a great instrumental version of it. Except they did it as a swing tune, which is the great thing about folk music. You can kind of keep on recycling and reinterpreting them, and it's all good no matter what you do. But again, a song about the problems in overindulgence and overuse of alcohol that somehow became a drinking song. My wife and I live all alone in a little hut we call our own. She loves gin and I drink rum, and don't we have a lot of fun? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? You that makes me friends and foes, you that makes me wear all clothes, but seeing how you're near my nose, tilt her up and down she goes. Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? When I go toiling on my farm, I take the little jug under my arm, place it neath the shady tree. Little brown jug, 'tis you and me. Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? If all the folks in Adam's race were gathered together in one place, I'd let them go without a tear before I'd part from you, my dear. Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? If I had a cow that gave such milk, I'd dress her in the finest silk, feed her on the choicest hay, and milk her 40 times a day. Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? And when I die, don't bury me at all, just pickle my bones in alcohol. Put a bottle of booze at my head and feet, and then I know that I will keep. Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Ha ha ha, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love thee? Let's stay in the States and go to upstate New York. And if you folks are watching it upstate, you might be interested in this one because it's about the Erie Canal. We're celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Erie. Construction began in 1817 and it opened in 1822. Now it opened up the Midwest to the East Coast. It allowed for easy migration westward instead of having to go land over the Appalachian Mountains. And it also meant that an awful lot of produce, grain, and goods and wood manufactured or raised in the Midwest could make it through the Great Lakes and down the Hudson to New York City. And that's why New York City became such a capital of commerce, because all those goods being sold overseas, well, the deals were made on Wall Street. Anyways, so boats on the Erie Canal were towed by a mule, and they traveled fairly slowly. And in its early days, the canal was only about 4 feet deep. It was enlarged to maybe 10 or 12 eventually, but it wasn't exactly known for heavy weather sailing. But you can imagine when some of these canalers arrived in Buffalo and they'd be at a waterfront pub with some sailors that had sailed in over the Great Lakes where there was some real heavy storms and danger. Well, they might have felt just a little bit intimidated by the tales and songs that the Great Lakes sailors sang. So somewhere along the line, with tongue firmly in cheek, a guy wrote this song called The Erie Was Rising. We were 40 miles from Albany, and forget it I never shall. What a terrible storm we had one night on the Erie Canal. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. And that's the chorus. Well, the barge was full of barley, and the crew was full of rye. The captain, he looked down at me with a gold-on wicked eye. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. The captain stood up on the deck with his spyglass in his hand. The fog, it was so gold-on thick that he couldn't spy the land. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. 2 days out from Syracuse, the vessel struck a shoal. We'd like to all been foundered on a chunk of Lackawanna coal. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. The cook, she was a grand old gal, stood 6 foot in her socks, had a foot just like an elephant, and her breath would open locks. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. The wind began to whistle, the waves began to squall. We had to reef our royals on that raging old canal. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. The cook came to our rescue, she had a ragged dress. We hoisted her upon the mast as a signal of distress. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. Well, the sea cook, she got married, the captain went to jail, and I'm the only son of a gun that's left to tell the tale. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. Oh, the Erie was rising, and the gin was getting low, and I scarcely think we'll get another drink till we get to Buffalo. Oh, till we get to Buffalo. Let's head back across the pond to Liverpool. Liverpool, of course, was a famous sailing town. It was right across the Irish Sea from Dublin, and there were many Irish sailors who traveled over to Liverpool looking for work. But there were also a number of down-and-out men there, and a number of boarding houses. And there was a particular boarding house run by a man named Paddy West who had a scheme. He told these down-and-out men in need of work that he would teach them all the skills they needed to be a sailor, and they could sign on a ship. He'd help them find work, and they could sign on at an advanced wage because they had the skill set, the knowledge, all in return for their month's advance as the rent for the month. You know, sailors are usually given an advance month's wages. In reality, he did nothing of the sort. It was all a line of bull, as it were. He would have them raise up a window shade and tell them that was what it was like to furl a sail. He would teach them incorrect things. He would have them walk around an ox's horn and say, well, you've been around the horn. Now you can say that, right? I.e. Cape Horn, a mark of passage. Well, once aboard these ships, these fake sailors are usually found out pretty quickly, and it became just a jargon of the time that an inept sailor was called a Paddy Wester. So this is his song. As I was walking down London Road, I come to Paddy West's house. He gave me a meal of American hash, and he called it Liverpool Scouse. And he says there's a ship and she's wanting hands, and on her you will sign. Oh, the mate's a bastard, the boatswain's worse, but she will suit ye fine. Take off your dungaree jacket, and give yourselves a rest, and we'll think on them cold nor'westers that we had at Paddy West. Now when the meal was over, boys, the wind come on to blow. Paddy sends me to the attic, the main royal fore to stow. But when I got to the attic, no main royal could I find. So I turned myself round to the window, and I furled the window blind. Take off your dungaree jacket, and give yourselves a rest, and we'll think on them cold nor'westers that we had at Paddy West. Then Paddy calls all hands on deck, our stations for to man. His wife, she stood in the doorway with a bucket in her hands. Then Paddy yells out, let her rip, and she flings the water away, saying, clew up your fore to Gansel's, boys, she's taking on the spray. Take off your dungaree jacket, and give yourselves a rest, and we'll think on them cold nor'westers that we had at Paddy West. Then Paddy says, pay attention now, this lesson you must learn. The starboard is where the ship she points, the left is called the stern. So turn yourself round to the starboard port, and you will find northwest. And that's the way they teach you in the school of Paddy West. Then seeing we're bound for the south'ard, boys, for Frisco we was bound. Paddy calls for a length of rope, and he lays it on the ground. And we all stepped over and back again, and he says to me, that's fine. Now if ever they ask, was you ever at sea, you can say, you crossed the line. Take off your dungaree jacket, and give yourselves a rest, and we'll think on them cold nor'westers that we had at Paddy West. Now just one more thing for you to do before you sail away. That's to step around a table where a bullock's horn did lay. And if ever they ask, was you ever at sea, you can say, 10 times round the horn. And bejesus for a time, an old sailor man, since the day that I was born. Put on your dungaree jacket, and walk out looking your best. And then tell 'em that you're an old sailor man who's come from Paddy West. Put on your dungaree jacket, and walk out looking your best. And then tell 'em that you're an old sailor man who's come from Paddy West. All right, I'm going to do a beloved pub tune now. That was the signature song of an English beer hall singer from about 100 years ago. His name was Harry Champion, and his heyday was from the 1890s to maybe the mid-1920s or so. He dressed as a hobo, kind of the way Charlie Chaplin would a generation later. And this is one of his signature songs. Now, if you're a fan of the British pop groups of the 1960s, this was a big hit for Herman's Hermits. They learned it from Peter Noon's father, who used to sing it in the pubs when he'd go out, but they only sang the choruses of it. It actually has verses. Now, when we get to the chorus, you'll probably be able to sing along. This is called I'm Henry VIII, I Am. You don't know who you're looking at, now have a look at me. I'm a bit of a love, you see, I come from royalty. I'll tell you how it come about. I married widow Birch, and I was king of England when we toddled out of church. Outside the people started shouting hip hooray. Get down on your knees, says I, it's coronation day. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. Henry, she wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. No Sam, I'm a faithful man, I am Henry. Henry VIII, I am. I left the Earl of Cumberland, a pub I know in town. Soon with 1 or 2 moochers I was holding up the crown. I sat down on the pot that all the cartmen call their own. Surrounded by me subjects I was seated on the throne. Out come the potman saying, going home to bed. Says I now say another word and off will come your head. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. Henry, she wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. No Sam, I'm a faithful man, I'm Henry. Henry VIII, I am. The undertaker called, and to me wife these words did say, have you got any orders, ma'am? We're rather slack today. I packed up all your other 7 for the pearly gates. About £1 upon account for Henry VIII. But when he measured me with half a yard of string, I sat up on my marrow bones and said, God save the King. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry. She wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. I'm a faithful man, I'm Henry. Henry VIII, I am, I am. Henry VIII, I am. I'm gonna do one more song by Harry Champion. This one is a beloved song among pub singers to this day. It's over a century old, and it tells quite an interesting tale. It's called The Old Dun Cow. The Old Dun Cow being presumably a pub. And we'll do this one a cappella. And, one tradition with this song, there's a line in the chorus that goes, somebody shouted McIntyre. Now, it may have been originally somebody said to McIntyre. It's, don't let him in till it's all drunk up. Somebody said to McIntyre, most likely, if McIntyre were standing by the door. But eventually it became somebody shouted McIntyre. And the tradition is when we get to that line, the entire pub shouts, McIntyre, right after it. Some friends and I in a public house were playing a game of chance one night, when into the pub a fireman came with his face all chalky white. What's up, says Brown, have you seen a ghost? Have you seen your Aunt Mariah? Me Aunt Mariah be bugged, says he, the bleeding pub's on fire. Oh, well, says Brown, what a bit of luck, everybody follow me. It's down to the cellar, if the fire's not there, we'll have a grand old spree. So we all went down with good old Brown, the booze we could not miss. And we hadn't been there 10 minutes or more until we were quite pissed. And there was Brown, upside down, mopping up the whiskey on the floor. Booze, booze, the firemen cried as they came knocking on the door. Oh, don't let 'em in till it's all drunk up. Somebody shouted, McIntyre, McIntyre. And we all got blue, blind, paralytic drunk when the old Dun Cow caught fire. Well, up walked Smith to the port wine tub, gave it just a few hard knocks, starts taking off his pantaloons likewise his shoes and socks. Well, up jumps Brown, now see here, boy, you cannot do that here. Don't go washing your trousers in the port wine tub when we've got Guinness beer. And there was Brown, upside down, lapping up the whiskey on the floor. Booze, booze, the firemen cried as they came knocking on the door. Oh, don't let 'em in till it's all drunk up. Somebody shouted, McIntyre, McIntyre. And we all got blue, blind, paralytic drunk when the old dun cow caught fire. Well, then there came from the old back door the vicar of the local church, and when he saw our drunken ways he began to scream and curse. "Oh, you drunken sods, you heathen clods, you've taken to a drunken spree. You drank up all the sacramental wine, and you didn't leave a dram for me." And there was Brown, upside down, lapping up the whiskey on the floor. "Booze, booze," the firemen cried as they came knocking on the door. "Oh, don't let 'em in till it's all drunk up." Somebody shouted, "McIntyre, McIntyre!" And we all got blue, blind, paralytic, drunk when the old dun cow caught fire. Well, then there came a mighty crash. Half the bloody roof gave way. We all got drowned in the fireman's hose, but still we was gonna stay. So we grabbed some tacks and some old wet sacks, and we tacked ourselves inside. And we sat there drinking pints of stout till we was bleary-eyed. And there was Brown, upside down, lapping up the whiskey on the floor. "Booze, booze," the firemen cried as they came a knocking on the door. "Oh, don't let 'em in till it's all drunk up." Somebody shouted, "McIntyre!" And we all got blue, blind, paralytic, drunk when the old dun cow caught fire. Well, later that night when the fire was out, we came up from the cellar below. Our pub was burned, our booze was drunk, our heads was hanging low. "Oh, look," says Brown with a look quite queer, something had raised his ire. "We gotta get down now to Murphy's pub, it closes on the hour." And there was Brown, upside down, lapping up the whiskey on the floor. "Booze, booze," the firemen cried as they came a knocking on the door. "Oh, don't let 'em in till it's all drunk up." Somebody shouted, "McIntyre!" And we all got blue, blind, paralytic, drunk when the old dun cow caught fire. Well, my name is Stuart Markus, and I'm going to leave you with just one more song. Now, you will recognize the melody to this one. It's called "To Anacreon in Heaven," and it was the theme song, the title song of the Anacreontic Club. Anacreon was a Greek poet from several millennia ago, and it seems that all of his poems were either about wine or love, and the people that formed this club thought that was a great idea. So this song is called "To Anacreon in Heaven," and it just happened to fit perfectly with a poem written by Francis Scott Key after the assault on Baltimore during the War of 1812, which means, yes, our national anthem is to the tune of a British drinking song. It's a little hard to sing along to, but I wanted to leave you on a patriotic note. Patriotic? Anacreonic? To Anacreon in heaven, where he sat in full glee, a few sons of harmony sent a petition that he their inspirer and patron would be. When this answer arrived from the jolly old Grecian, voice, fiddle, and lute, no longer be mute. I'll lend you my name and inspire you to boot. And besides, I'll instruct you like me to entwine the myrtle of Venus with Bacchus's vine. The news through Olympus immediately flew, when old Thunder pretended to give himself airs. If these mortals are suffered their scheme to pursue, the devil, a goddess, will stay above stairs. Hark, already they cry in transports of joy, a fig for Parnassus to Rowley's we'll fly, and there, my good fellows, we'll learn to entwine the myrtle of Venus and Bacchus's vine. Apollo rose up and said, "Prithee, ne'er quarrel, good king of the gods, with my vot'ries below. Your thunder is useless." Then showing his laurel, cried, "Sic evitable foemen, you know." Then over each head my laurels I'll spread, so my sons from your crackers no mischief shall dread. While snug in their club room they jovially twine the myrtle of Venus and Bacchus's vine. So think of that next time you're at a baseball game. Alright, once again, my name is Stuart Markus. You can find me online at stumarkusmusic.com and search under my name on YouTube. It's as Markus Video also. You can look that way. And also, if you want, look for my folk rock harmony trio, Gathering Time. That's www.gathering-time.com. And everyone stay safe and healthy. And I do hope to sing for you in person one day, and maybe even share a quaff with you afterwards. Take care.